Hey guys, this is Navonod. This is me doing my first video review. The person that sent it to an old email address. Well, it's my current email address off of an old site. I don't want anybody to do that. If you have my old email address, I'm using that for a lot of other things. Just put something in the comments and I'll get back to you, and we can figure out a way to do it otherwise. But that's fine, no big deal. So we've got kings and we're in late position, so that seems good. Okay, we should ISO this open limp. I would just go pot size. 40 cents is probably fine, but definitely like the ISO. Don't mind the cold call from the big blind, and don't really much care if Danny calls or folds. He folds. Alright, so we're heads up to it. No, we're not going to check here. Bad check, terrible check. Okay, so that should always be a bet. And if Vadim, I haven't seen this video yet, if he checks here, he probably has a king, right? Or he should be bluffing. Don't hate the bet here, but I think we missed at least one street. Now we should go like $2, or like, yeah, $1, that's fine. But if we get called by King Jack. Okay, so if we had bet the flop and bet the turn, then the pot size would have been the same on the turn as it ended up being on the river. And if we would have bet like 80% of the pot, then we would have made almost twice as much on that hand. Slow playing is not the right thing to do at the micros. And definitely don't. I know that we want to sometimes have slow plays in our range, but your slow plays are supposed to be there to protect your checkbacks. They're supposed to protect your showdown value. But that is a board texture, that King XX, that you're going to be c-betting almost your entire range on usually. So what checkbacks are you really protecting? Like if you had exactly queens and your opponent was going to exploit you, don't worry about balance so much at the micros, worry about value. And the way to own these guys at the micros is just not to bluff. It's not to slow play. We don't need to balance check back ranges and stuff like that. And certainly we don't slow play just because we have a huge hand. That's, silliness. We don't, and if we do balance, most of the time we don't want to balance by playing some of our big hands passively. We want to balance by playing some of our weak hands aggressively. Balance towards aggression. I mean, at perfect GTO poker, you would be breaking even on your bluffs so that you can get paid off on your value hands. If you think it's hard to get action at these sites, then just go ahead and bet every flop and see what happens. I mean, if you're having a hard time getting action from your trip kings, don't start checking them. Start betting stuff that's not trip kings. Start bluffing more. Don't like this call. Yeah, definitely we're checking. But now we're gonna have to check and probably just check call. Yeah, that seems fine. And probably check calling again. I hate this donk, but I don't. Now what are we gonna do? I guess make the crying call knowing that we're beat most of the time, right? I guess we're just hoping to fill up, and we didn't, and now I think we check and fold. We're just, you gotta not donk bet. If you just check to the last street aggressor unless you've got a really good. This is a fold. You don't need to check his stats. Man, there's 3 flush cards out there. There's 3 to a Broadway, and there's an 8, 9, 10. I mean, I don't even know what hands he would be. What does he have that he could even bluff with? He has to have something. Yeah, that was a bad call. We need more discipline than that. One of the biggest advantages that we're going to have on our opponents at these stakes is our ability to fold hands when we know we're beat. And you ought to have known you were beat. I mean, you could only beat a bluff, and even what hands were bluffing there. I mean, he would have had to do some pretty elaborate thinking to pull that. He would have had to have basically turned a good hand into a stone cold bluff. And I mean, even some of the hands that he may have chose to do that with would beat your 2 pairs. So I don't know. That was pretty I think you murdered the hand, buddy. Sorry. Limping is fine here. I like the over limp. It's fine. I think you get ISO. You can over limp. Either way, seems okay to me. Yeah, and I'll do something specifically for you and send it to you. Oh, nice. So we're just gonna keep flopping sets, huh? Now, please tell me we're not checking this back. I favor betting a little bit big here. I'm gonna go at least pot sized. We've got two opponents in here. And it's a textured board, and we're playing with very deep stack to pot ratios. No, pot it. We definitely want to pot it. Okay, whatever. Okay, so now, like, just bet the full pot. That check was real bad. Okay, let's just think about this. When that turn card comes out, and it is a heart, this is now, with your set, it is your last chance to get value from any single heart draws. Like, what if somebody is just in there with, like, the ace of hearts and, like, a 4? He's not going to pay you if the river bricks off. So it's your last chance to get value from heart draws, and it's also your last chance to get value from hands like top pair in case the heart does come off. Plus, you get outdrawn by hands that probably would have folded on the turn, like single hearts. Like, you know, I don't remember if I think the 2 hearts was out there. So like you're gonna get beat by like random 6 of hearts that wouldn't even call if you bet. But even more than that, you're just missing a ton of value by not betting. When there's 3 hearts there, your opponent does not always have a flush draw. It clearly does not always have a flush, and he's much more likely to have a flush draw than he is to have a flush. He's more likely to have just 1 heart that's only going to call you, you know, if he's got like some kind of combo draw, it's probably only going to call a big bet on the turn. So we're missing value by letting the board run out scary for the hands that we beat that are not flush draws or don't contain flush draws, and we're missing value from the flush draws or combo draws from the times that the river bricks off and is not a heart. And plus, even if we do run into some kind of a flush there, we're not dead. I mean, we have almost the same equity as we have with a straight draw. I mean, in fact, let's see. Yeah, I mean, when you factor in, let's see, quads, that math is kind of tricky. It feels like it's pretty close to about the same equity as an open-ended straight draw, even if we know we're up against exactly a flush. Plus, the implied odds are monstrous and off the hook. Fine with the open raise there. You could, yeah, I mean, Queen Jack is certainly fine to just open raise in a blind versus blind scenario. I would kind of take a note that Danny LCW is limping in late position. He likes to open up. And I'd like to see what Smarf is doing here with this big punish the limper raise. I guess he's just punishing limpers. And the bigger note is that Danny LCW has limp folded. So he's limped, I think, 2 times now already and then folded to a raise. So now when he comes in with this big raise, people should get out of his way, right? Right, Vadim? And Vadim seems to be a bit of a calling station. I mean, I'm looking at the hand samples, and it doesn't look like we've got... What's going on here? Sorry, my computer just kind of... I don't know if you guys saw that, but my screen went blank just because of my inactivity with my Camtasia, but I don't know if it didn't show up on YouTube, then well, never mind it. Yeah, so I'm going to be sending, I'm going to type something out, or maybe just do like a video, like a narration for you, and I'm going to send it to you specifically, and I'm going to rewatch this with my commentary on it, see if I pick up on any other things, and if I don't get any other videos anytime soon, then I will be doing another review. This gentleman has sent me multiple videos to go through, and I'll do more of them. I think I want to keep this at about 15-20 minutes. I think it's okay to open limp at the micros if it does fold to you and you've got an 8-4 of hearts. I think I don't worry too much about balance until somebody gives me a reason to at the micros. I mean, raising can be fine. I don't think this is bad, but you know, you're going to get called a lot. You're going to have to play out of position. And I guess we see bet here. Yeah, like half pot, just one and done. Yeah, I think I'm just going to stab one time, and if I get any resistance, I'm just done. And the thing that's kind of, I mean, you're out of position, so even if you pick up equity, it's going to be tricky because you're just going to have to check and do a lot of check folding. Yeah, so far, the only thing I see that's not great is the, you got to play those sets aggressively. Just play them aggressively. If you're worried about not getting action, try to get action by bluffing more. If you're worried about balancing check back ranges, don't be until somebody actually starts like taking it to you. You know, an example of that is like if you, let's say we 3-bet pocket kings and get called and the flop comes out like ace, rag, rag. If our opponent checks to us and we check back and he just knows that we have some kind of hand like kings, he can really abuse us by like overbetting the turn and like jamming the river, knowing we can just never call. So that's the kind of situation where we want to have some slow plays in our range so that we can check back some showdown value hands without getting beat up on for it. But I mean, in order for a slow play to make sense, first of all, our opponent has to not be making a gross number of calling mistakes, which I think that your opponents are all going to, at this stage, well, not all of them, but you can count on most of your opponents to make way too many calling mistakes and go way too far with hands, and that is all going to veto any need to balance for the rare situation where you actually get into a spot where you need to check back a showdown value hand, especially when you don't even know if these guys are paying attention, have any concept of that sort of thing, know how to exploit you if they do, you know, that sort of stuff. We've got a nice pretty hand, but we're facing, this guy's been pretty active. Yeah, I mean, I think you had all of your options on the table, and now it's just a check fold. I mean, you could have folded, you could have 3-bet. Calling seems okay as long as you're not expecting Smarf to squeeze a ton, which it does. I don't think I'd be worried about. And now we just fold. Here's a little note to you too: is you tanked before checking, and when I see somebody tank check, I know that they're checking to fold almost always. So try not to do that when you're. I mean, I catch myself doing it. I rapid fire check when I know I'm going to call. And I take forever and then check when I know I'm going to fold. And you just did that. Okay, so I think we just call here. We should be ahead of our opponent's range. We have position. So we might have play skill, position, and card edge all working to our advantage here. And it's a pretty gross board, but I think I'm going to peel this at least on the flop. I'm going to call at least once here. Brick. It's going to be kind of scary if he bets again. Hope, just check back. Looks good. Yeah, I think we could just check back here. And now if he bets, I think we're going to have to call something reasonable. I bet I mean, you could even... That was fine. Yeah, that was fine. Nice hand. Well played. I was going to get nitpicky and say that you could even consider clicking it back once he bets 30 cents because it looks so obviously like a blocking bet with like a 9. That, I mean, if he had top pair or straight, the way the hand played out, he's not going to bet like a quarter of the pot, right? So he is almost always doing that because he just doesn't want you to put in a bigger bet. And what that means is he's got a hand that he's pretty unsure of, and you pretty well beat all of the hands that are pretty unsure. So when he made it 30, you could have maybe clicked it back to 60 or 70, and the bet then that he made trying to not have to pay off a big bet actually ends up pricing him into putting more money into the pot than he wanted to. So you can kind of turn that around on him. Was that an ace-3 suited? I would open that. under the gun, but you know, it's no big deal. At 6 max against weak players. In fact, what I do is I open ace 2 suited through ace 5 suited, and I don't open ace 6 and ace 7 suited. And in fact, depending on the table, I might not open ace 8 suited either. So I'll do like all my wheel, like ace wheel suiteds, and then like ace 9 suited plus. It's debatable, you know, it's debatable. Most real good players, though, I think are opening all of their, well, they're at least opening all their suited wheels, like their ace 3 suiteds or ace 5 suiteds. So now we've got like a small suited connector. We're getting 1,000,000,000 to 1. We definitely could have called there, but you know, folding is fine too. I don't know. I don't have a big problem with that. Draws are hard to play out of position, but you do have like a lot of sources of implied odds. But there's only one guy that was even playing with a full stack, so I don't know. Either way is fine. I wonder what this 32-cent bet means. I haven't seen him do that yet. Guess we don't get to find out. Okay, we're picking up a lot of hands. I would just flat call here, yeah. I mean, I think, you know, a lot of really good players are 3-betting king queen at 6 max from like every position, but I think that those, I would c-bet that, but it's, you know, I don't think it's mandatory. If he gets checked to you again, I think betting. You know, I mean, honestly, checking back, betting. At this point, you can just try to get your king high to showdown and see if it's the best hand. I would have stabbed on the flop, and probably if not, I would have stabbed on the turn. But I don't think it's horrible to just go ahead and get. No. Now you're just burning money. You're not going to get any better hands to fold. You're not going to get called by worse. This is a pretty bad bet. I mean, if you were going to do that, that was just the worst time to do it. It wouldn't have changed the outcome that the guy with 8s is going to bet. I'm surprised he didn't bet at some point before that. But when you're making a bet, you just have to think, especially on the river. When you get to the river, you are in a very pure, simple situation of, will my opponent call me with a worse hand, and will he fold the better hand? Will my opponents call with worse? Will my opponents fold better? And when you have king, queen, and it checks all the way down to the river, I think the answer is pretty well no. I mean, you might every once in a while get an ace high to fold, but I mean, even ace high might just call. So you're bluffing against exactly ace highs that did not bet at any point or 3-bet pre-flop. That's not enough hands to bluff against. Yeah, I like the raise here. It's fine. In fact, I would do it with probably like any 2 cards in that spot. You've been raising, so I think I would just go ahead and raise, but I think you could start open limping these small blinds, and I think you'd be surprised how rarely at the micros you get raised. I think we're just going to start with a c-bet here. We're going to have a ton of cards to barrel. I hate this check. He can definitely fold better hands, especially even if he doesn't fold a lot of better hands right here, right now, which he will, king highs and queen highs. You will get him to fold them by the river. Right here, if you'd have bet the flop and followed through with the bet on the turn, he would have folded a ton of stuff by now. So you might have got a bet in on the flop and then bet the turn when you picked up your equity and got him to fold and won a little bit more money. Yeah, you had backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw, and an overcard, two overcards to the unpaired card, and a board that's just really hard to connect with, plus the betting lead, which gives you an uncapped range. You know, you could have had aces, you could have ace. You know, yeah, that was a bet. You definitely should have bet the Jack X of spades. I mean, I don't want to say definitely, but yeah, I'll say definitely. That was a bet. Bet planning to barrel a ton of turn cards, including the one that you did actually fire on. It's just a fold, guy. No, 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 no. What is this? No, 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 no. We still have a guy active behind us. This was really, really spazzy and spewy. King Jack is not that good of a hand, and it's in pretty bad shape against kings, right? Yeah, that was pretty bad. I hate to sound like that, and I know it's bad. I'm berating you in front of everybody, but see, this is another reason I'm not going to give your names when I post your videos on YouTube, in case I have to berate your bad play a little bit. Look, open raising King Jack and just like seeing just a 3-bet is a sick thing. You know, you have King Jack. I think it was King Jack offsuit. By the time you bet, you know, you raise, another guy calls, and then this guy shoves. No way you can call. No way. Do some work with Poker Stove or Equilab, whatever the kids are using these days. Use Equilab and run King Jack against like all kinds of ranges, and any range you could think of that he could really logically be shoving, you know, including all of his value hands, and put in a ton of bluffs if you feel like he's going to be bluffing a ton there. And you're going to find that King Jack is crushed by pretty much any realistic range you could come up with. So hopefully I've given you a little bit of something to think about, and I'm going to go through, even if I don't post all of your videos, I'm going to watch them all and see if I can find some just overall things that I think you could use some improvement on. I'm not going to put the call-outs on. I think I'm just going to throw this on YouTube to hopefully generate some more interest. But eventually I'll do a version of one of your videos with the call-outs, and I will do some one-on-one, get back with you and do some one-on-one stuff with you. We'll watch this last hand, which probably will just be a fold, and that'll be that. Alright, until next time. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, and if you too want to be berated in front of the YouTube universe, please, by all means, submit your stuff so we can do that. Thanks for watching, and until next time, good quotation marks, LUCK exclamation point, end quote.